Hey, it's Colin Gray here from thepodcasthost.com, and this is 10 top tips for finding the best interview guests and to get the best from them. So number one in finding the best interview guests is to use a good matching service. There's quite a few matching services out there, platforms that match you with other great guests. You list yourself as a show on there. They list themselves as interview guests with all their expertise, their insights. Get on one of those and start getting matched. My favorite actually is Podmatch. Podmatch is a great platform, has lots of great tools in there for making sure you find good people, good targeting, good filtering. So fill out your profile, make sure you put your show on there, all the information around who you're looking for, what type of guests you need, and then spend a bit of time each week filtering that down, finding good guests and finding people that have really unique points of view. It facilitates all of the outreach, all of the communication back and forth, and you can find some great people that way. Number two in how to find great podcast guests is post in the IndiePod community. So the IndiePod community has about 3,000 plus members, growing really nicely, and it's got two spaces in there that you can use as part of that community to find great guests for your show. There's one called Find a Guest and one called Be a Guest. So if you list yourself in the Find a Guest space, tell people a bit about your show, who you're looking for, what type of expertise suits your show, you'll have people volunteering. But equally, you can look through the Be a Guest space as well for people who are posting themselves as potential guests with their expertise, their unique views, all that kind of stuff. Have a browse through, reach out and find some great people for your next episode. You can find that over at indiepod.thepodcasthost.com. That's indiepod.thepodcasthost.com. Number three in finding great podcast guests is use the tool called SparkToro. Now, SparkToro is a great tool for finding content, outlets, social media, everything that is associated with a particular topic. You can type in your show and you can see all of the other shows that people listen to who also listen to you. You can also find all of the blogs, all of the social media accounts, all of the YouTube channels that people also consume if they listen to your show. So you know that people will like these other outlets, there'll be related topics, things that they like, so then reach out to the ones that look good. Equally, you can type in your topic and you can see all of the blogs, the podcasts, the YouTube videos, the social accounts that people consume if they're into that topic. So have a browse through, find the ones that look good, that have unique viewpoints, and reach out to them to see if they'll come on. Even better, they do have a feature which is a hidden gems feature. So they'll show the most popular ones, but equally, they'll also show smaller outlets, smaller blogs, social media accounts, all of that kind of thing, who look really good, that are worth reaching out to, easier to reach, easier to get on your show, and maybe even some more unique viewpoints because they're smaller and more up and coming. Number four in how to find great guests for your podcast is live events. So sometimes we discount these for all of the online interactions, but there's nothing that beats going along to a conference, a meetup, anything that actually gets you face to face with other people that are into the same topic as you. So head along to hobbyist meetups, head along to big conferences, whatever suits you, whatever suits the topic that you cover. Look at all the speakers, listen to the talks, find people with unique viewpoints, with good personalities, all that kind of stuff, and then go and approach them and ask them to come on your show. It's a great excuse to talk to them. Equally, attendees, get in those networking sessions, speak to people, ask them questions, root out those interesting ideas, those unique viewpoints, and ask them to come on your show. Sometimes the attendees are the hidden gold because they're the ones whose ideas maybe haven't become mainstream yet. They've got these things that they're mulling, that they're formulating, that you can bring to the fore first. If you can be the first person to showcase an up-and-coming expert, it can be a really good thing for your show. Number five in finding great podcast guests is more of a mindset. It's around searching for ideas, not for people. Most time when you're looking for guests, you'll be searching for people first, but actually, really what you want is the ideas. What you want is unique viewpoints, things that people haven't heard before, controversial ideas even. So search your topic, find blogs, find social media accounts, find YouTube channels, podcasts, listen to them, consume them. No doubt you're doing this already because it's a topic you're interested in. So just start to find those unique viewpoints and build whole shows, whole episodes around those unique viewpoints. When you find somebody that has that unique view, reach out to them. and get them on your show. That's how you create interesting episodes, really interesting concepts that you can bring to your audience that draws people in, gives them success, and brings them back the next time. Number 6, on finding great guests for your show and getting the best from them. This is all about stories. So to get the best from any guest, you really want to think ahead and actually plan for some of their best stories. Reach out to the guest. One of the best questions I ask ahead of time is, what are your 1, 2, maybe 3 top stories that always gets good engagement? What are the things that really resonate with people that you've found really connects with people in the past? Find out what those stories are, get a bullet point summary of them, and then start to think of some questions that guides them through it. What you're looking to do here is have 2, 3, 4 prompt questions that will guide that person through the story so that you can actually have a conversation with them throughout the story, guide them to the great points, and not have to have them talk for 5, 6, 7 minutes all in a row. So find those stories, find a few questions that guides them through it, and then use that on your next episode to really create those memorable moments that creates a great interview. Number 7 on podcast guesting and getting the best from those guests is create a great bio for that guest. So if you're doing a good podcast interview, often you want to create that bio yourself. Maybe take the one that the guest will send you and do a bit more research. Put some effort into really digging into a few different things of what that person's background is. The main aim here is to avoid that normal first 5 to 10 minutes of an interview where people just say, tell me a bit about your background, tell me a bit about yourself. It's always a bit fluffy, it's always a bit all over the place. If you can bypass that, you can get straight into the meat of an interview. So if you do a great bio, you do that guest job for them, you make them relax because people have found out, what they do, what they're selling, what their services are, and then you jump straight into the value. A great bio can bypass that first 5 to 10 minutes of any fluffy interview and put you straight into the great stories. Number 8 on getting the best from any podcast guest is prepare to interrupt them. Now, this is something that not enough interviewers do. When you're doing an interview with somebody, they're actually off on one, they take a tangent, they start speaking for 5 minutes. That becomes quite boring for the listeners. Instead, you want to jump in and interrupt them, make it more of a conversation rather than a one-way street. The easiest way to do this is actually prepare them ahead of time. It takes away your nerves. It takes away the feeling of rudeness if you say to people, right, so we're looking for short answers. So I'll jump in and I'll interrupt you if I feel like we're going off on a tangent. I know my audience really well, so I know where we should take it. I'll be able to get the best from you. So don't be offended. Don't be surprised if I jump in and maybe interrupt something and take us in a different direction. If you do that prep, you tell your interviewee that ahead of time, it's so much easier to interrupt them, and then you can keep every single episode on a much better flow. Number 9 on podcast guesting and getting the best from them is prepare your guest for short answers. We all know one of the worst things is when a guest goes off on a tangent, they speak for 5-10 minutes. I talked in another one around interrupting people. That's one thing you can do, but even better, prepare them to only give short answers. I would normally say to my guests something like, we like to keep the show quite conversational, 30 seconds, 60 seconds per answer. So give me a summary, give me the short answer to any question I ask, and then I'll know what to ask to kind of dig deeper in. I know my audience well, I know what they'll be interested in, so I'll do follow-up questions. So don't worry about explaining everything all at once. Just give me shortish answers, conversational, and I'll direct us in a way that I know my guests, my listeners will enjoy. If you prepare a guest like that, they'll give you much more concise answers. It'll be much more conversational. It'll be a much better listen for your audience. Number 10 on podcast guesting and getting the best from those guests is start in the middle. Now, sometimes called in media res, starting in the middle of the story. I talked a little bit earlier about a bio, reading out a great bio, which, it bypasses that fluffy first 10 minutes. So after that, just jump straight into the middle of their story. Ask them a question that they've not been asked before, somewhere in the middle of the story, something that you've ferreted out that's really interesting, quite unique, and jump right into it. Don't start at the beginning, because really the most interesting parts of their story generally are the middle, the end. You can always go back, you can always go forward, you can always jump around, but start in the middle. Find one of the most interesting parts to begin with, really engage your audience, and then you can jump around from there. I hope that's given you lots to get more out of your next guests, how to find even better guests. If you want more from me and my team, go over to thepodcasthost.com/start here. And we've got guides to launching your show. We've got guides to growing your show, monetizing your show, and all sorts of other starting points. We've got short courses, all sorts of resources that can help you succeed more with your podcast. That's over at thepodcasthost.com/start here.